Right now, 8 billion people are alive on this planet, and every single one of them was born in the exact same place. Down here, on the ground, under gravity. In over 60 years of spaceflight, more than 700 humans have flown above the sky. They have walked on the moon. They have lived in orbit for over a year at a time. But not one of them has ever been born up there. No human child has been conceived, carried, or delivered in space. Zero, ever. And that is genuinely strange because life on Earth has done almost everything else out there. Fish have mated in orbit. Mouse embryos have grown there. Plants flower in space all the time. Worms, frogs, even spiders have all reproduced beyond the sky. So why not us? Can a baby actually be born in space? The answer pulls in radiation, weightless blood, invisible cosmic bullets, and a legal mess nobody has solved. NASA is so worried about it that getting pregnant in space is, quietly, against the rules. By the end of this video, the fact that you exist at all will feel like a small miracle. Start with the rule. Officially, NASA has never sent a pregnant person into space, and it goes further than that. Sex in space is not allowed either, mostly to avoid this exact question. Female astronauts are tested for pregnancy in the 10 days before a launch. If the test is positive, the flight is off. No exceptions, no appeals. That sounds harsh until you understand what nobody can promise a pregnant astronaut. Nobody can promise the radiation will not hurt the baby because nobody has the data. So the agencies do the only safe thing. They say no, and they wait. But the universe does not actually forbid life in space, it just makes it incredibly hard. And to see why, we have to start with the creatures that already pulled it off. Here is the part that surprises people. Animals have already done it. In July 1994, 4 small Japanese fish called medaka rode the shuttle Columbia into orbit, and those fish did something no animal with a backbone had ever done before. They mated in space. They laid 43 eggs. 8 of them hatched in orbit. The first vertebrates, animals with backbones, ever born off the Earth. Those baby fish were healthy. They even had babies of their own later, back on Earth. So fish, yes. But a fish embryo floats in water already. It barely notices gravity is gone. Mammals are the real test. They develop inside a body the way we do. And mammals are far harder. So in 2023, a team in Japan ran the boldest reproduction experiment yet attempted. Frozen mouse embryos were launched to the space station, then thawed by an astronaut using a special device. For 4 days, those tiny embryos grew in true weightlessness, watched the whole time, and they developed almost normally. The cells divided, organized, and formed into healthy early embryos. It was the first time mammal embryos ever grew in space, a real, verified milestone published in 2023. But here is the honest catch. Growing for 4 days is not the same as being born. An embryo is the easy first chapter. The hard part comes later, and that is where space gets dangerous. The single biggest problem is one you cannot see, smell, or feel: radiation. On Earth, you are shielded by 2 things, a thick atmosphere and a giant invisible magnetic shield around the planet. That shield deflects most of the cosmic rays before they reach you. You have been protected your entire life. In deep space, that protection is gone. You are standing naked in a storm of high-energy particles. These are not gentle rays. A single cosmic ray is an atom's core, fired through space at nearly the speed of light. When one hits a cell, it can punch straight through it, like a microscopic bullet through tissue. Your adult body can usually repair that. You have trillions of cells, and losing a few is survivable. It happens constantly, and you never notice. But an early embryo is just a tiny handful of cells. In the first month, every single one matters. Scientists warn that one well-aimed cosmic ray that early could end the pregnancy entirely. And it gets worse for the brain. A baby's brain keeps growing for years after birth. Years of cosmic rays drilling through developing brain cells could quietly damage memory, learning, and thinking for life. Now, some of you are thinking just add shielding, and you are right, but it is brutally heavy. To shield a baby for a Mars trip, you would haul tons of dead weight across the solar system. This sounds made up, but on the way to Mars, a robot once measured the dose. It was punishing. A few weeks of cruising toward Mars can give you most of a normal full year of Earth radiation. For a grown astronaut, that is a calculated risk they accept. For a forming baby, it is a gamble nobody will take. Now suppose you solved radiation completely. You still have a second enemy, weightlessness itself. And the surprising news is that pregnancy itself might actually survive it because a baby in the womb already floats. It hangs suspended in fluid, weightless before it is even born. So the floating itself may not be the problem. The problem is what happens to the mother's body. In space, with no gravity pulling blood down, fluids rush toward the head and chest. Astronauts already lose bone and muscle fast up there. A pregnant body is under even more strain. And here is the strangest worry. The baby might forget which way is down. Inside your ear is a tiny organ that senses gravity. It teaches you to balance, sit up, and walk. A baby builds that sense by feeling gravity every day, while its brain wires itself together. Take that away, and the wiring has nothing to calibrate against. A baby born in space would grow up never feeling down. Its balance might wire itself completely wrong. We ran a version of this test with rats, and the results were a quiet warning. Pregnant rats flew on a shuttle mission, and their pups were born healthy back on Earth. But scientists found subtle differences in how the pups balanced and read motion. Space had left a fingerprint. Now picture the moment of birth itself, in zero gravity. Doctors find this part genuinely hard to imagine. On Earth, gravity is a silent helper. It guides the baby down. It pulls the fluids away. In space, none of that happens. Birth fluids would not fall, they would float. Blood and fluid would spread through the cabin as floating spheres, a medical emergency and a clean-up nightmare at once. The mother could not just lie on a bed and push. There is no down to push against. Every move she makes pushes her body the other way. Help her, and you send her spinning. So everyone would have to be strapped down. The mother, the doctors, even the newborn baby. And the baby, once out, cannot be set down to rest. It would simply drift away across the room. Quick question for you. If we ever do this, should the first space baby be born on a station or on Mars? Tell me in the comments. Because the place it happens raises a problem even the doctors cannot solve. A legal one. Here is a question that has no clean answer. If a baby is born in space, what country is it from? On Earth, this is easy. You are usually a citizen of where you are born or of your parents. But a space station is not a country. It is a patchwork of pieces owned by different nations. A baby born in the American part versus the Russian part could legally be two different children. Lawyers say the deciding factor is usually whose ship or module the birth happens in. But Mars is even messier. A global treaty says no nation can own Martian ground. So a baby born on Mars might belong to no nation at all, a true citizen of nowhere. Think about that. We have written laws for the sea, for the air, even for the moon, but not for the cradle. The first child of space could grow up as the most legally complicated person in human history, and no court on Earth has ever had to decide a case like it. At this point, you might be thinking, why bother? Just keep having babies on Earth. And for now, that is exactly what we do. But look further ahead and the math changes. A trip to Mars takes more than 6 months, one way. A real colony would mean people living there for years. And a colony that cannot have its own children is not a colony. It is just a very long visit. If humans ever truly leave Earth, somewhere out there, someday, a baby has to be born off-world. That is why scientists run these strange experiments now. Frozen mouse embryos, fish in water balls, rats on shuttles. Each one is a tiny rehearsal for the biggest first in human history. The researcher who grew those mouse embryos said it plainly, we have to be ready before the trip to Mars. Slowly, carefully, one frozen embryo at a time, we are learning the rules of life off Earth. So let me make this real for you. Picture a day, decades from now, far from Earth. A medical module, padded white walls, lit warm and low, straps and handholds on every surface. The mother is gently strapped in place. 2 doctors are strapped beside her. Nobody can float free tonight. Outside the window, the planet turns slowly. Inside, the only sound is the hum of the air system. There is no down to push against, so she braces against the handholds, and she pushes anyway. The doctors keep small suction tools close, ready to catch every floating drop before it drifts away. And then, in a room with no up and no down, a new human being arrives. The doctors do not lay it on a bed, they hold it. Because if they let go, it floats. Its first breath is not pulled down by gravity. Its first cry echoes off metal walls, far from any sky. It will never know what it feels like to fall. It will learn to float before it ever learns to crawl. And somewhere on Earth, a grandparent watches it on a screen and cries for an entirely new reason. 2 worlds, 1 family, joined by a single fragile new life. None of this would even be a question without 60 years of careful, patient steps. 1963. Valentina Tereshkova becomes the first woman in space. For the first time, the question of reproduction in space stopped being purely theoretical. 1994. The medaka fish mate in orbit. The first vertebrates ever born off Earth. Tiny, easy to miss, and absolutely historic. Through the 90s, pregnant rats flew, gave birth back on Earth, and revealed those subtle balance changes. 2020. Mouse embryos grew in a tiny satellite in real weightlessness and survived. 2023. For the first time ever, mammal embryos grew aboard the space station itself. Each step was small: a fish, a mouse, a rat. None of them made headlines for long, but stacked together, they spell out one careful sentence: life, very slowly, is learning to begin somewhere new. So, can a baby be born in space? Physically, probably yes, one day, with enough shielding, enough planning, and enough courage, but safely. With a healthy body, a healthy brain, and a country to call home, not yet, not even close. Right now, the safest place in the entire universe to be born is the one place we take for granted: this planet. With its thick air, its magnetic shield, and its quiet, constant pull toward the ground, every person you have ever met began here, cradled by a gravity they never even noticed. Kings, scientists, strangers, you, all of us. First-generation Earthlings. You were born in the only nursery the universe has ever managed to build that actually works. And maybe, decades from now, a child up there will look down at this blue dot and call it the old country. Until that day, no one has ever taken a first breath beyond the sky. You are part of an unbroken streak 8 billion strong. One day that streak will end, on purpose, in wonder, far from home. Next time, what would actually happen to your body if you took your helmet off in space? So tonight, hold a little wonder for the most ordinary miracle there is. You were born on Earth. So far, everyone has.